Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on this Gottlieb Big Shot pinball machine from, I believe, 1973. And in the last video, we worked on the mech board down on the bottom of it. And by the end of the video, we had found a couple messed up coils, relays, and a switch that was messed up in the back box. And we got the thing where it will now at least restart and kind of go into a game, but we still have a long ways to go. First of all, it's not kicking the ball out. The flippers aren't working, so we're kind of in limbo. Let's see if it'll score anything. No, it will not. So nothing's scoring. It's coming up and it's starting a game. So we fixed the problem where it was tilting. It was tilted all the time, but we don't have it where it actually works yet. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to lift up the playfield, and we're going to work on the bottom of the playfield a little bit. Get it out of the way. And we like to just kind of systematically work through them where we're fixing everything as we go along, and then at the end we kind of troubleshoot specific things to get it working right. So that would be next, working under the playfield. So let me tilt it up. I'm going to turn the game off, and we'll see what that looks like under there. Okay, folks, I've been going through cleaning the switches. I just use a little file to clean them off. Don't get one that's super aggressive that's going to eat them up, though. Some of these, too, are interesting because some of these switches close when you roll over them, like this one. So see how the two little blades touch whenever you roll over it? And then some of them, like this one, open when you roll over it. Just to keep it interesting for you. And the flipper, look at this. This is interesting. So that's the end of stroke switch, and this is on the wrong side of it. But if you look at the actual switch, see the abrased metal there? It's from that spring hitting it. Apparently it's been doing that a long time. So the end of stroke switch is wrong. So how is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be like that. So whenever it pulls in, it should be closed, and it opens it. But that's opening it way too far. It shouldn't open it that far. That little paper thing's all screwed up too. Still too much. That's about right. Something like that's a little better. So it should open that. And the reason it does that is because whenever you hit the flipper, that switch is shorting out one of the windings of the flipper, which makes it stronger, basically. So it's got a certain strength that they've, computed that they want. And then when it gets all the way in, it opens that, which gets rid of the short. So now the coil is actually weaker. So the purpose of that is so that the coil doesn't burn up. So good way to burn up your coil. You need your end of stroke switches working. Don't want to burn up your coils. Okay, so like I said, I've been going through cleaning the switches. They all look pretty decent. I don't have to do light bulbs because they've leaded this one. Look at that. LEDs in all of them. Hopefully they all work. We'll figure it out. I'm not a big fan of the LEDs, but this ain't my machine, so whether or not I'm a fan is irrelevant. So the customer put those in, and we're going to leave them right where they are. It's not that big of a deal. If you don't like them, you can take them out and throw them in the trash. If you do like them, you can take the incandescents out and throw them in the trash. Easy little mod. Okay. And then down here on the bottom, so the flippers, we'll play it and see how they play. Got a bunch of switches, which are easy to clean, right? And then you've got these two big banks of drop targets. This thing has 14 drop targets on it. It's like drop target heaven. So we've got 14 drop targets that we need to look at. We have this little unit down here. I don't even know what this thing is. Some kind of bonus thing. What would that be? What would that be for? You can see when it pulls in, that turns one position. But I don't know what it does. What's it do? So it would light up a bunch of stuff, I would suppose. What could it be lighting up? It must have something to do with lighting up the pool balls. I don't see how, though. How would that work? We'll have to look at the schematics to figure that out. Okay, so we got that. We need to clean it and build it, rebuild it. Well, not rebuild it, clean it. It seems to be working pretty good. It's just, we got to make sure that's making good contact. And then we've got these 5 relays here. So I'm going to do them next. Basically, take them out, clean the switches, make sure that whenever it pulls in, it's connecting switches or opening switches, whatever it's supposed to do. And if I run into anything weird, I'll let you know. But so far, the only thing weird I've found is that end of stroke switch that was backwards. But that wouldn't keep the game from kicking the ball out. We'll have to troubleshoot that here in a minute after I get this straightened out. Alright, there weren't any surprises on the relays. This bonus unit's pretty cool. This is very similar to the one on the home run game that we did. We did a Gottlieb home run. I think it was from right around this time, 1973-ish, maybe a little earlier, but this is basically the same setup, or a similar one at least. There is a switch here that rides on the edge that can help it tell where the home position is. So once it comes off of the home position, that switch is connected until it gets around to the next home position. Okay, and then there are little wipers that go around and hit a bunch of little contacts. Okay, so I believe that's called the bonus unit. Now, looking on the schematics, here we are. There is a bonus unit listed up here. Okay, and it's connected to all of these lights and all of these drop target switches. So it looks like what happens is, let's say I hit the 1 ball. Well, when the drop target drops, it connects this switch, and that turns on light number 1 in the middle of the playfield. Okay, and then when this bonus unit starts moving around, it gets to a point where that, since it's connected, it's giving power through there, through the C relay, which is the add bonus unit relay, the O relay, which is the ball return relay, the I relay, which is the bonus score relay, and it turns on J. J is the bonus score control relay. So this little thing, whenever it turns on, it just keeps running all the way across, checking all of these connections to see how many of the drop targets you have dropped. Okay, and so the one that moves it is, I saw it here earlier. Here it is. C is the add bonus unit relay. So whenever that pulls in, it will keep running until the bonus unit runout switch, that's the one on the edge, turns off. So once that thing starts going, it goes all the way. And so as it's turning around, clack, 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 it's basically checking to see which one of these is tripped, and then it looks like it's going to give you points for it. I don't know why it would do that every time, but I guess that's how it works. But we'll figure it out whenever we get farther along. So I'm going to clean that up like we always do. Basically, I'm going to take the wiper off of it and clean the rivets, get them nice and shiny, make sure it's making good contact, because it's already moving really freely. Right. Now, we had a problem on our last one where the thing was actually moving too far, so we need to make sure that it's not doing that. So we figured out This little bar here is what pushes it up. Whenever it goes down, see, so it goes under the tooth, click, and then it should go a little bit more. Oh, that's about right. It's going to go about halfway. The problem you run into is if it goes too far, whenever it turns, you miss steps. It'll turn twice instead of just one step. And you can adjust it by adjusting where that coil is mounted. You can move it up and down. This little thing, this is supposed to go in and touch it like that. Alright, so it looks like that's actually adjusted right. Okay, so I'm going to take that wheel off, clean those rivets, and then put it back on. Because that actually has something to do with kicking the ball out. Remember how we're not kicking the ball out? Let me find it here. The Q relay is the ball return control relay. And the Q relay actually is turned on by some of that stuff, it looks like. It has something to do with that. Okay, so I got to make sure that that thing's clean. Okay, so I took the disc off, and the little rivets I cleaned up to get them nice and shiny again. And then we put a little bit of grease on it. You can see it, see the sheen on it from the grease. This is the stuff we use. Look, I got a new tube. If you're old school viewers and you watch all of our videos, you've probably seen that I used up my entire tube of it. So I ordered some new ones. And the reason you want them is because it's dielectric. It means it's good for this stuff, right? So if you're looking for something like this, maybe you didn't even know you needed this. On our website, we have a bunch of links to this and about 30 other things that we use in our videos all the time. Go check that out, lionsarcade.com. And we've got a parts page on there. And if you buy anything on there, most of the links take you to Amazon. And if you go to Amazon and you buy anything, including other things that you choose to buy after you follow our link, it gives us a tip for doing that. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. That's been actually picking up lately. So I guess a lot more of you are doing it than used to be. We appreciate that. Helps support the channel. I think that looks nice and clean. And like we said, it moves nice and clean. So I'm going to put the disc back on there now that I cleaned it and greased it. And we're going to make sure that we line the rivets up just right. The little wipers. So you might wonder, how do you do that? Well, the first thing you do is you keep track of how it was, right? See, someone has been spraying grease and crap all over this thing. Look at that. Look at that. That's oil, people. Look, there's oil all over it. So that you got to be careful when you do that, because you get that stuff too much. You get too much of that stuff on there, you're looking for a fire. But you can kind of see how it was mounted. But so the rivets, you're trying to see where they line up, right? Well, here's the little side indent. There's two of them. So that means whenever it turns, remember I was saying it turns until that switch opens up again? So it would turn 1/2 turn, okay? And then there's only 2 rivets, and all they are doing is connecting those 2 contacts, whatever it's sitting on, together, okay? So you see how they're kind of diagonal? They're not perfectly lined up. It's actually connecting that one and this one, so it's like a slanted thing, right? Now, how do you know where it goes? Well, schematics tell you. So since there's only 2 contacts, it must only, this must be the only thing that it does. And if you look on the schematics, you don't see really another place that it has this, that it's listing this. So this is pretty much what it does. And I was thinking about it. Why is it doing it like this? It's because it's at the end of the ball. So whenever it's the end of the ball, it cycles through and makes the scoring, since it's the bonus unit, right? So at the end, it's going to give you, maybe it's 1,000 points for each drop target that's down or whatever. Kind of cool, and it's going to just rotate through all of them until it gets back to its second home position, and that switch opens up and it'll stop. Okay, so how do we line it up? Well, you can see that at home, that they're drawing it in the home position, it should be connected at 0. So you should be on 2 rivets. Now sometimes you'll see these where it's showing a little thing and a little arrow and it's connecting to a rivet with no wire going to it or something. Right? But on this one it's connecting to a rivet, and we even have our color of the wire here. It's going to be a blue and white wire. That one. So blue and white wire will be connected to one of the rivets. So if we've got it at the home position where that C switch is open and we are sitting on the rivet with a blue and white wire connecting to it, we're right where we're supposed to be. So we're upside down. If you look at the rivets, that 4th rivet has a blue and a white wire connected to it. So it would connect that rivet backwards to this rivet. Now you might say, well, why are there other wires there? Well, one of them is the common. It's like all of those rivets on the inside are all the same wire. And then there are 2 before it, 2 and 3. But if you think about it, it would hit those last. Like, so when there's another setup here, so as it's going around, it would hit those before it got to the home position. So we'll figure it all out. But basically we need to line it up with the blue and the white wire, but my suspicion is it'll only line up one way anyway. Okay, so it's the end of the ball. The ball lands in the out hole, which connects the circuit, and it starts this sucker firing, right? So it goes, it's already connected up here for some reason, but it goes bam, and it moves to the second position, you know, and if that switch is down, if that drop target's down, it gives you 1,000. And then it goes bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Till it gets to the thing again. So it's going to go da 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 da. It may have to wait for the score motor, so it may. Let's see if it does. Let's see if they have attached it to the score motor. If they have, then we have to wait for the score motor to turn. No, it's going to go quick. It's going to go quick, folks. So when the ball lands in the out hole on the ball return switch, it's going to connect that switch. If the S relay is closed, the S relay is the start relay, so that will close back if you're not starting the game, I guess. I think I got this right. Maybe it's connecting this way. QB2. QB2 is the game over relay. So I guess whenever the game's not over. And then the ZB relay. The ZB relay is the first ball relay. So I guess whenever you're on your first ball, it doesn't do it because you're at the beginning of the game. But anyway, whenever that goes, if the bonus unit is on 0, which it will be because that's where it parks, right? And if the Q relay is not pulled in, which is the ball return control relay, so if it hasn't kicked the ball out yet, I guess, QB1, the game over relay, if the game is not over, it will pull in the coil that moves that thing. And then it will hold it until it gets to the until that opens on the side. But the thing I don't get is, let me make sure I got that right. Q, ball return, no, that's wrong. C, add bonus unit relay. Okay, so that's just the relay. That's not the actual coil that does it. There's got to be, the score motor has to be involved, because if it was just the relay, it would just lock that coil on. So something needs to let go of it, push it back, let go of it, push it back. Right? We need to figure out what does that. We don't need to figure it out, but we want to figure it out, don't we? Where are you? Here we are. Add bonus unit. They're calling me. Who do you think it is? The add bonus unit pulls in. That's the one actually on the bonus unit. Okay. Look. The score motor and the score motor. So yeah, so as the motor turns, it'll hit a switch, right? That switch will fire this. The motor will turn again, let go of the switch, which will let go of that, and then it'll do it again and again and again and again. Okay? So, motor 1A. So you can come over here. Motor 1A pulses 5 times from coast to coast, right? So the 5 little black boxes. So each time the score motor turns to its home position, it will fire 5 times, that thing, right? There are 3 home positions. So when that turns a third, it will fire that 5 times. So we need to fire it 14 times, I think it is. I think it's got 14 steps. So that will turn pretty much all the way around, but by the time it gets back, so it goes about this speed. Clack, 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 clack. By the time it gets back, it will have counted all of the bonuses and gave you all your money. Pretty cool. All right, so I think that one's done, and I guess that's how it's going to work, but we'll find out later. So now we need to mess with the actual drop target mechs a little bit just to make sure they're all right, and then we'll be done underneath the playfield. Okay, so we'll check them out a little bit. These Gottlieb drop targets are kind of considered the gold standard. They did it really well, right? The Bally ones and the Williams ones are slightly different because they all had patents and they were suing the hell out of each other if they interfered with each other's patents. So right now they're at the reset. Let me drop a few of them and then we'll... Okay. So whenever they reset, you know, it tells it to reset it. There are 2 big, huge coils, one on each end. Now, on all of them, I don't believe there's 2. It's just on this one they've got 2 because there's 7 drop targets on each side. That's a lot. That's a lot, people. This is... I think there was a 10. Didn't they do a 10 one in a couple of them? I think we had a jumping jack that had 10 of them in one freaking run, but having 7 in a row is pretty wild. Okay, so it has to be kind of strong to make sure that it moves them all up. So the way it does is it has this bar that goes all the way through. Look at that shot. There's something you don't see every day. And so when both of these big old coils pull in, it lifts all 7 of those arms back up into place, right? Now, see the, let me see, I guess it's that little lip right there. See that little lip? There's one of those on the front of every drop target. So when it pulls them all the way up, see the little ramp, then it keeps going. So that's pulled it forward. So the spring is what's pulling it forward. It's got just a little bit of tension on it. Now you can't have it too strong because then the drop target won't drop. Okay, and then when it's mounted flat, this bar, just through gravity, would fall back down like that. Okay, it doesn't even have a spring on it or anything. It's just the bar itself is kind of heavy, so it falls back down whenever that happens. Now, also there is another spring for each one down in there, and it's a little stronger. Because the purpose of it is whenever the drop target gets pushed back, if you didn't have this spring, there would be no impetus for this this bar here to drop. But that spring down there is pulling on it constantly, right? And just physics, the way it's pulling it is kind of at an angle, and so it gives it enough leeway that it can push backwards, right? So if it pushes backwards because the ball hits it, that spring will then immediately wham pull that sucker down. All right, so I'll drop. Let me drop the second one, so we can keep looking at this first one. So when it just goes barely over the ledge, bam, it immediately goes down. Okay. Now if you look, there's the second switch. Look, it's not touching. That's because there's another switch on the other side that is touching. So that's how it knows that it's down. And so whenever this turns around, it's going to be looking for how many of those are down and give you 1,000 points every time it runs into one, right? Or 500 points or whatever it is. Okay, so what is this one for? Well, that one gets hit as the thing is dropping. So if I try to control this one, look, as it drops, it closes that switch. And then when it gets to the bottom, it lets the switch open again. Awesome. Okay, and then there's one other little cool little trick that it does. Look at this switch. So this switch is open. And it is sitting on this little black thing here. It's hard to even see it. But there's like a little black piece of it's almost like spring steel. Okay. Now the way it works is there is this bar here that's held up by all of these things. Okay. But if all of the drop targets drop, so watch that bar that's going down at the top above the springs. Okay, here's the last one. Watch what happens. Can you believe this? So why did they do that? It's it's so that our switch will close. Right? So if I push that bar back into place, the switch is open. Well, yeah, the switch is open. When it falls out, the switch closes. So what's the purpose of that? It's so that it can tell when all of the drop targets are down. No matter how many you have. Because even one drop target allows the thing to stay open, but it's any drop target. So you don't have to do it in any kind of order or anything. So if there's one drop target left, that switch will still be open. Absolutely brilliant. Now you might notice they're all working just fine. Gottlieb, they did a really good job on this stuff, right? So if you just want to go through and see that all of the switches can touch as the bar falls, you want to make sure that when they're all down, that switch closes. And you want to make sure that whenever the drop targets are down, that it's connecting the switch at the bottom of each drop target. And that's really all there is to it. They usually work pretty good. So now the purpose of this switch, by the way, the one that it actuates and then lets go of, is to give you the score when you drop the drop target. So you drop one, it gives you 500 points or whatever, and then you also get the bonus. These lights here, you get the bonus at the end of the ball. So just a really nice design. Okay, so we've got all of those cleaned up. All I did was clean the switches. They're all working fine. Nice little design. So now that we've got that kind of doing its thing, I think what we'll do is we'll try to see if it will kick the ball out like it wouldn't earlier, and if it won't, we'll try to troubleshoot that with the schematics and see if we can step through and figure out exactly why that is. We still have to do the stuff in the back box, but maybe we can get it to kick the ball out without doing that. Okay, so I've turned the power back on. So if I step this one position, it will turn on that switch, which should make it go all the way around. Okay, so it hasn't really stepped until you let go of the coil, right? Now if you pay close attention, you can even count it. So there's 14 drop targets, but it moves 15 positions, right? So when I do this, I'm doing the first position. So it's 1, and you're going to hear it go, dat, 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 5. 5 more times, so that's 6. Dat, 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 dat. That makes it 11. Then dat, 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 4 more, and it gets back to the home position. The last time it doesn't actually fire because I had already moved it 1 with my hand, right? So, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so that seems to be working kind of how intended. Okay, so we're going to look through the schematics. Now, I'm showing a lot of these schematics, people. Here's the deal. Gottlieb doesn't really like it when their schematics are floating around the internet for free. And they're cheap. They're like 12 bucks or something, folks. So if you've got a Gottlieb and you've got this game, go buy the schematics. Buy them from the Pinball Resource. They're inexpensive. Go to pbresource.com. You can buy their schematics. I hope they don't get angry at me for showing everybody the schematics. I kind of understand where they're coming from. I don't mind that they basically, the only way they can make reproduction parts is if, they can make reproduction schematics and stuff. So they don't like them floating around the internet. But we're going to show a whole bunch of them here, so hopefully they don't get mad at me. So our problem is it's not kicking the ball out whenever it starts the game, but it appears that we're in gameplay, although the flippers and stuff aren't working, okay? So why are the flippers not working? Here's the flippers. The way they get power is this side is always connected to the transformer. So the left flipper connects through the button. Whenever you hit the button, it turns the coil on. Then it connects down to here. This is a tricky little section. So QB2 has to be normally closed. QB2 is the game over switches. So the game over relay cannot be tripped. When the game over relay is tripped, the flippers don't work. Nothing on the playfield works. All right? Now it's kind of confusing why that, so that's normally closed. So it's saying QB2, it says, is the game over switches. So in its normal position, that is closed. Okay, a little weird. That's strange because I thought its normal position was the game was over. I guess the normal position is it's not tripped. So when it trips, it opens that. Okay, so not tripped. Okay, and so then it comes down through here and it gets power through this SB2, which is normally closed. So SB2 is the reset control relay. So if the reset is not tripped, it gets power through that. So while the reset's going on, the flippers and stuff don't work. Okay? So if you look, though, it goes both ways. So since it's not tripped, now it can't connect through there. So it has to connect through here. So how does it do that? Well, the power connects over to here through either the O relay or the H relay. So what is the O relay? This is high-level stuff, people. It's the ball return relay. I'm not sure why that's in there. I don't know why they need that. So if the ball return, it allows that. Oh, because it has to. Well, no, I don't know why. Okay, so but normally it will connect through the H relay. So the H relay is the tilt hold relay. So if the game is not tilted, this will be connected. So the flippers would get their power through here, through the tilt hold relay, down through here, and then now we're back over to here. Did I skip one? Nope. The bounce switch, that's a safety thing on the bottom of it, or a fuse thing on the bottom of it. And then bam, it connects to the transformer. So my guess would be the flippers aren't working right now because of the tilt hold relay. I'll bet there's a switch on there I didn't get quite right. On the previous video we were screwing around with that. So we'll look into that. But why is it not kicking the ball out? Let's find where that is. So this is how you track this stuff down. So the ball is not kicking out. So what makes the ball kick out? Now, a lot of people say, oh, that coil must be burned up. Nope, it's hardly ever the coil. Knock on glass. Watch it be the coil this time, but it's not usually the coil. It's the power to the coil. So one side is connected to the transformer. The ball return coil pulls in whenever the O relay pulls in, which is the ball return relay. We looked at that a second ago. And whenever the motor turns around and closes motor 4C. So the score motor has to be turning. So what makes the score motor turn? Well, one of the things that can provide power to the score motor is the ball return relay. Oh, so if it pulls in, it will start the score motor, that switch will be closed. And when the motor gets to 4C, it'll connect power and make it kick the ball out. So that's not happening. Okay, so we need to see if the O relay is even working, right? If it's even pulling in. So what pulls in the O relay? You just keep going backwards. The O relay is pulled in as long as the QB1 relay is not tripped. The QB1 relay is the game over relay. So as long as that's not tripped, see this switch O, it can't pull itself in, right? That's just to hold it on once it pulls in. So if the game is not over, so that's normally closed, it gets power through the Q relay. The Q relay is the ball return control relay, not to be confused with the ball return relay. So when the ball return control relay pulls in, this switch will close. And as long as the I relay is not in. Now the I relay is the bonus score relay. So as long as you're not scoring any bonuses at the time. Now why do they have that? It's so that at the end of the ball it can count down the bonus. See, they put all this little stuff. There'll be one little switch. Because of that switch, at the end of the ball, when it's counting the bonus for you and that little thing we were just looking at is moving around, that will be open. So it can't kick the ball out until that's done, right? So as long as that's not happening, and the J relay, as long as it's not pulled in. Now what is the J relay? That is the bonus score control relay. Something else to do with that. When the motor gets to 1D, it will turn on the O relay. Right? Okay, now when it turns on the O relay, it will hold itself on through a switch on itself. Right? Until that switch opens at motor 2B. So all of that. So what is our problem? Well, what was the one we saw before that? Q. We got to get the freaking Q relay to close, right? So what closes the Q relay? Here's Q. It closes, it holds itself on through a switch on itself, but it can't turn itself on, right? It closes when the bonus unit gets to step 14. Right? So when the bonus unit starts counting, once it gets to the last position before home, once it gets to 14, it closes this. Why is that? So it can kick the ball out. Right? After it counts the bonus down. So it's not doing that because this isn't going to turn because we're not at the end of the ball. We're at the beginning of the game. All right? So what turns on the Q relay? Okay, this is the ZB relay. The ZB relay is the first ball relay. So, if it's not tripped, this will be connected. Okay, now how do we know if the first ball relay is tripped? We got to go find ZB. Where in the world is it? You can see this stuff gets a little complex, people. Where is ZB? Is it way up here? Can't be. Nope. It's hiding from us in plain sight. Here it is. The ZB relay. What pulls it in? The N relay, the M relay, or the tilt relay, right? So the N and the M are point relays. So it's basically as soon as you score a point, it pulls in the first ball relay. So at the beginning of the game, that's not pulled in. Okay, so this is not pulled in yet. So Q gets turned on. That's closed. That's the game over switch. If the game over switch is not connected anymore, right? SB1. What is SB1? The reset control relay. So if the game's not resetting, so it doesn't, the ball can't shoot out if the game's over. The ball can't shoot out if the game's resetting.
the S relay is the start relay. The ball can't shoot out while the start relay's on. And there's the ball sitting on the switch in the out hole. The ball can't kick out if the ball's not sitting on the switch. Okay? So basically whenever the game starts, the start relay pulls in and starts resetting everything, right? The start relay pulls in the reset relays. They start doing anything. Once everything resets, it resets the freaking game over so that this is no longer tripped because the game's no longer over. And that's what kicks the ball out. That's what turns on Q, which does the other one, which does the other one, which does the other one, which kicks out the ball. It's complex as hell. So basically we got to go through and see which ones of these are pulling in. So we're going to go see if the O is pulling in, if the Q is pulling in, and just see which ones are pulling in whenever we hit the start button, and that'll tell us where the switch is screwed up. Okay, so we're in game over mode. This is the O relay, and this is the Q relay. So I'm going to start it, and we're going to see if it ever even pulls in either one of those. I need to put the ball in the out hole, though. I think actually it is. Yeah, it's in the out hole. Okay, it's in the out hole. Okay, so we're going to start it. We need to see if O ever comes on or Q ever comes on. It's going to be very loud, people. Watch your ears. All right, so neither O nor Q come on. That's our first clue. Okay, so if I haven't completely lost you yet, the flippers that aren't working once the game is in, so the ball's not kicking out and the flippers and all that aren't working. If you look, we were talking about all of this switch here on QB2, that if the game's not over is not open, is closed so the flippers can work, right? So that is here on this front relay stack that we messed with last time. So this is QB2. And if you look at this bottom switch, see how it's not connected? It should be up like this. And then if this trips, it pushes it down and opens those two switches. So that switch I missed whenever I cleaned it. So I'm going to put that back together, and that should get it where our flippers and all the scoring and all of that stuff works, but the ball won't kick out still. We got to figure that out. Okay, so the ball kicking out. O kicks the ball out. It's not coming on. Remember we looked. Okay. What turns on O is Q. Okay, so we looked at Q. It's not coming on either. Remember we looked. So what turns on Q? Well, when it's if it's not on the first ball, which doesn't happen until you score during the first ball, this switch should be closed. Okay. So on that same relay bank we were just messing with for the power to the flippers, this is the ZB. Whoa, this is the ZB relay. Look at that. Now I already did these. How did I miss that? So for whatever reason, that one is always open when it should be like that. And then when it trips, are you ready for it to trip? Wait till I figure out how to make it trip. So it should be that way, and then you go through and you score something, and it does that. Okay. It's basically telling the machine that the first ball has begun. Alright, so we just want to make sure that it's connecting good. So because it wasn't connected, yeah, it's on there. See how I can move the big one and the little one's moving a little bit because it's bent just right. Okay. So without that connected, it couldn't turn on Q, which couldn't turn on O, which couldn't kick the ball out. Now, I said it on the last video. This is something that my brother Donnie would have figured out. Now, who is my brother Donnie? Well, my brother, my real brother from the same mother and the same father, we believe. I mean, we think. But we know her from the same mother. Let me move on. My brother Donnie
is more mechanically inclined than I am. So if you like watching me do stuff like this with old pinball machines, you might want to check out his channel, my brother Donnie, the My Brother Donnie channel. We work on pinball machines, and he works on old vehicles, works on old buildings. We have a couple buildings that we bought in a small town near here, small little buildings that we're fixing up, trying to help revitalize the downtown area of that small town. So go check out his channel. I'll bet he would have figured that out. Let me put the playfield down, and let's see what we got. All right, folks. One more time with feeling. What do you think? Is it going to work this time? Now think about it. That switch was obviously open. It can't kick the ball out with that switch. Come on, people. It can't. The switch wasn't even. If it's. Come on, people. If it's like this, it's got to be like that. Come on, people. Come on now. Can't make the damn pinball work with the switch like that. Oh, man. Come on now. So that had to have been the problem, right? That had to have been the problem. And then the flippers. I ain't tested them yet, but you saw. That thing wasn't even... I don't even know why y'all get me all worked up. You know it wasn't even touching. I mean, come on, people. If it's not touching, it's not going... Why do you do this to me all the time? Come on now. Y'all just got to calm down, okay? All right, let's see. What do you think? Is it going to work? Now, if it does work, that'll be good to end all of this uncomfortable silence. Holy moly! Oh man, Elizabeth, it's the big one. Oh no! Oh man! Now if the guy wouldn't have slogged me and put the feet all flat, I told you about that in the first video. Look what he did to me. Look at this guy trying to cheat. Now this is one of our customers. Look, buddy, I ain't trying to start a bunch of crap, but you're cheating like hell. Look, he's got the back legs flat and the front legs are out. You can't do that. Look at this. Oh, it scored. Boom. Now, I've seen people cheating, but come on. Come on now, man. He's got it almost inverted. People walking by thinking I'm crazy. I could do these videos more boring. I've been thinking maybe I should change my style. So my style would be I have a tripod. And I speak a lot with less protein. And he's got it on 5-ball. That's cool though. 5-ball on the EM's alright. I can respect 5-ball on an EM. Or an old SS. Solid state. By the way, you'll see some little flickers. People, don't get me started. You already got me all upset for a minute there, right? You'll see a couple little flickers on, not what it just did, I don't know what that was. But you'll see like some of the lights kind of flicker. You know what that is, right? You know why it does that, right? I ain't gonna say it. Don't get me started. All right, so holy moly. So she's working, but folks, it ain't working the way I want it to work. So we're going to do another video where we fix it some more. Give me some more. So we still got to work in the back box, make sure all the score reels are resetting properly. We got to make sure all the lights are working. I think they are. And then we've got to troubleshoot some more because there's probably some scoring issues and stuff. But the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to fix these feet. You can't cheat like that, folks. It doesn't help you. It makes it harder. If you make it where it's too flat, the problem you get is that instead of the ball rolling like it's supposed to, it floats. It goes side to side more, and it just, you can't play it like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it,
you know, do boom. We're gonna make it like that, like it's supposed to be. And if the gentleman doesn't like it, he can set it back the other way if he wants. But I think he probably just didn't realize that it's like this. But he brought it to us with the legs on, so I think he probably didn't realize that these are supposed to be down lower and those are supposed to be up a little higher. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. And then if he doesn't like it, he can do it back. But we've at least got it started playing now. It's doing its thing. Cosmetically, this gentleman doesn't want us to do a bunch of cosmetic stuff to it. He just wants it to play well. And he doesn't mind messing with it himself, so he's going to do some of the cosmetic stuff if it needs done. I'll check that back with Joey just to make sure, because he was the one that spoke with the gentleman. But we're getting it there, and what a cool game this is going to be once we get it playing well. We'll make sure to film a video of us playing it. So this is Gottlieb's Big Shot. Hope you enjoyed it so far. We'll see you on the next video.